George Russell made the most of some fortuitous circumstances at the Austrian Grand Prix to snatch Mercedes' first win this year and just their second since the ground effect era began. It required a shocking double retirement from the race leaders, but there was more to this victory than just that. Mercedes have been upgrading their car at an astonishing rate, and they aren't planning on slowing down anytime soon. The team is preparing for a massive development push, which they hope will get them more race wins, and today I'm going to check it out, so don't go anywhere. Mercedes' Austrian Grand Prix win required the help of the gods to make it happen. When Lando Norris and Max Verstappen collided on lap 64, ending both of their races, George Russell was 15.5 seconds behind their battle. If Red Bull hadn't fumbled their final pit stop of Max Verstappen, George would have been at least a further 4 seconds back. It would be easy to call the win lucky, but in Formula 1, you have to be ready to take advantage of any situation, and Russell being in the right place at the right time was anything but lucky. More on that later though. As the two leaders collided and George took the lead, Toto Wolff tried his hardest to ensure that his driver wouldn't hold on to it. In his excitement at seeing the collision between Verstappen and Norris, Wolff started shouting at Russell over the Mercedes team radio, forgetting to go through the usual protocol of checking that his driver was at an appropriate point on the circuit to receive a message. Toto decided that a braking zone was the perfect time to shout at Russell, "George, you can win this! You can win this, George!" To which Russell correctly responded, "Just let me effing drive." Wolff's excitement was understandable. He is incredibly emotional as a team principal. His passion often overspills for better or for worse, and in Austria it was definitely for the worst. After the race he said, "This one is the single dumbest thing I've done in 12 years at Mercedes. I'll be forever ashamed of this. Because you look at where you message the driver, you don't do it on braking or in high-speed corners. I could have taken him out with that message. Imagine how that would have felt." Mercedes have been so far off a race win for so long now that the emotions in the garage at that moment must have been completely overwhelming, and George forgave Toto in the end. For Russell, it was his second race win for the team and helped open a 26-point gap in the Drivers' Championship to teammate Lewis Hamilton. Russell finishing in front of Hamilton continues the growing trend this season. Russell has beaten the 7-time world champion to the checkered flag 8 times out of 11. He's also out-qualified Hamilton 9 times out of 11. Hamilton will always be revered for his achievements, but questions over his performance levels this season are valid. In Austria, there were mitigating factors. It later came to light that Hamilton had picked up significant floor damage on his car early in the race that hampered his pace by 2.5 tenths according to team boss Toto Wolff. The loss of pace due to floor damage wasn't helped by picking up a sloppy penalty for crossing the pit entry line by pushing too hard and losing control of the car on the way into the pits. Hamilton was visibly disappointed by how his race had unfolded, but rejoiced at his team's first win since Russell's victory in Brazil in 2022. I mean, from my side, it's not that different. But George, as you can see, he's doing pretty well. So that's a huge boost for us. A big victory for George and the team. This is an amazing result. Mercedes want to take this win and use it to create momentum this season. They've revealed that they're running on full steam as they endeavour to bring upgrades on an unprecedented scale to build on winning the Austrian Grand Prix. There has been a lot of work developing the car which helped them get into the position to win the race from, but that is just the beginning according to Toto Wolff. The Austrian has proclaimed the desire to introduce new parts at each round is something that he's not seen before and bolsters his hope Mercedes will bridge the deficit. "I think we're bringing upgrades now almost to every race," he disclosed. "The factory is running on full steam. We've never had this in 12 years that we're able to develop, design, manufacture, bring it to the track and have the quality in the pieces. I've seriously never seen that pace. Every single race we brought upgrades. Every single race we will bring upgrades, and I hope by the summer break we can make another step. Now everyone else is working hard, but if we can eat a bit away at that gap. I think it was 15 seconds in 70 laps, so 2 tenths a lap, and that's okay. That's a P3, and hopefully, if we can half it, we can race in front." As Toto says, 2 tenths of a lap isn't too bad a gap to close. Though 2 tenths at one of F1's shortest circuits is likely to be closer to 3 tenths of a second a lap worth of deficit on most of the calendar. That is still achievable, but it's important to remember that their opponents won't be standing still. McLaren and Red Bull are clashing for race wins regularly now, and both teams will be desperate to find any edge they can through their upgrades. It's also important to remember where Mercedes came from this season to be in the position to win in Austria. They endured a terrible start to 2024, as they were unable to match their rivals with an unpredictable W15 car, which marked a complete departure from its predecessor. They looked set to be stuck in a battle with Aston Martin for 4th place in the Constructors' Championship. Considering how ineffective their development had been in 2022 and 23, few had any hope for them closing the gap to the front three at any point. However, with some big upgrade packages, that has happened. The aggressive development plan has elevated Mercedes back into contention for podiums, as Russell's second F1 win marked the team's 3rd consecutive podium. Toto Wolff called the first few months of the season a painful learning curve. However, in the factory, progress was being made. They began their in-season development in earnest with a big package in Miami. The bulk of the changes for Miami were made out of view, as the shape of the underfloor's roof was reconfigured to increase local load at the front of the assembly and alter flow distribution to the rear and diffuser. That package was then completed in Imola. There was a new rear wing with revised wingtips and end plates. There was a new beam wing to go with it as well. The leading edge of the floor, the tunnel's entrance's volume, and the shape and position of the floor fences at the front of the car were changed as well, to match up with the changes made in Miami. However, none of that made a significant impact on the points they were scoring, which at the end of the day is the only thing that matters. That all changed in Monaco though. George Russell received a new front wing, which Lewis Hamilton then got in Canada. It earned them their best result of the season, and Russell said that if he hadn't made a number of mistakes during that race, they could have won, though there were too many what-ifs to know for sure. When asked after Canada about just how much the team have gained with their recent upgrades, Wolff remained tight-lipped. "I can't tell you. Sometimes when things work, interact well with each other, the overall flow structure becomes more efficient, you're able to optimize the ride height, and it's bit by bit. We have found we've added more performance, so another step in Barcelona, and hopefully we'll see it on the stopwatch." For Spain, they had a lighter floor fitted to both cars, which added yet more performance. Then in Austria, there was a new beam wing again. The rate at which Mercedes is bringing upgrades is astounding and very telling. They've never been this quick with new parts during the ground effect regulations. They've always needed to add an upgrade and then assess it, checking if it works how they want it to. Now though, they clearly have faith in what is happening in the factory, because they aren't waiting to check the new parts are working, they're getting thrown into production before the previous upgrades have even been fitted. With the budget cap in place, that takes bravery and confidence in your design team, because if something goes wrong, it's going to cost you. That confidence is something that Mercedes have been missing for a long time. With a blitz of upgrades coming over the races before the summer break as well, Mercedes might be able to get themselves into a position where they aren't relying on Norris and Verstappen to collide for race wins. While the circumstances that gave Russell his win were fortuitous, the win itself was anything but lucky. Mercedes had been working hard to get into that position, and that race win was hard-earned. What did you think of Mercedes in Austria? Can they close up the gap to the front two, or will they trip up on upgrades as they have done in the past? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and until next time, drive safe and bye for now.